Hey everyone, I'm David, the editor of Imaging Resource, and I'm out here in Long Island today at a nature preserve with my good friend from Nikon. We're taking a look at this, the Nikon Zr. This is the first official collaboration between Nikon and RED since the two companies came together. The first thing that I notice about the camera is the incredibly small size. This camera is a 6K camera in the size of just a little bit bigger than most companies' compact cameras. The fact that this can squeeze 6K, 60 into here, red code raw in here, you can shoot N-Log, you can shoot it all in camera without needing an external HDMI recorder. Other things that I love is this is an amazingly large LCD screen. This is a bigger screen than I've seen on any camera of this size. In general, this is a compact, really well-designed camera with buttons the way that buttons should be, dials where dials should be. So the interesting thing is that Nikon calls this Z Cinema, which would make you think that this is a Cine camera, and for somebody shooting like a RED, this would make a really good B camera or even a really good A camera. But I gotta tell you, at this price point, this would be my studio camera. This would be the camera that I would take out with me on the road. This would be pretty much my only camera. I love the fact that it takes any Nikon glass, but it's got the internals of a much more powerful cinema camera. I'm also going to give you some thoughts about cameras like this and how I think they're going to change the market for small creators and cinema creators alike. So let's head back to my studio and I'll give you more of my thoughts. Well, I'm back in my studio now. I am sweating a lot less, and I had about 2 hours to think about this on the way home, and man, Sony, everyone is coming for you this week. And now, this week, Canon released the C50 and Nikon just announced this, the ZR. I had about 5 hours with the Nikon Zr and I have a lot of thoughts about it. I'm going to quickly go over the specs towards the end of this, but what I really want to do is talk about the Nikon Zr and what I think it means for the market, especially considering the position that Sony has had in the market up until pretty recently. Okay, so Sony has been the king of the mirrorless hybrid video camera world because they had a head start of a bunch of years before Canon and Nikon started to make mirrorless cameras. It was Canon's 5D series DSLR that really launched the hybrid video capture market. Those cameras were breakthrough successes, and they allowed smaller creators to get the same footage that cinema crews would get with their expensive gear, but in the size of a camera that they would use for still photography. Having a video camera as part of your stills camera caused a huge change in the market. But when Sony launched their first full-frame mirrorless camera, Canon stayed stuck in that DSLR era for years. Meanwhile, Nikon never really had a hybrid SLR of note, so Sony got the leg up on both of them. So when Canon mirrorless cameras arrived, it quickly started to regain some of its position in the video market. Now, Nikon's own mirrorless cameras, especially the Z6 III and the Z5 II, were great entrants into the video market as well. So everybody was clawing back some of the market share from Sony. And then Nikon acquired the high-end cinema company RED, and things changed for Nikon overnight. RED has decades of experience making cameras used in some of the biggest TV shows and movies that are out there. And now RED is Nikon, and Nikon is RED. Now, everyone talks about the color science of Canon cameras, and when Sony started to upgrade their hybrid cameras to match the look of their cinema cameras, that was praised as well. The Nikon Zr has RED color science built in with a new RAW format called R3D-NE. If you've ever worked with footage from RED, you'll know why that matters. You can also shoot this body in N-Log if you want to color grade your footage to match other Nikon cameras like the Z6 III or the Z5 II. So this is a camera that has two different color profiles, which is an amazing idea. This is really a flip of the script from when Sony started to siphon off customers from Nikon and Canon. When it comes to video, Nikon really went from like 0 to 100 overnight. Okay, maybe it came from like 20 or 30 to 100 overnight, but it is a huge jump just in one single body. The body is lightweight but feels professional grade, the menus are clearly redesigned for filmmakers, and the LCD really is good enough to skip on an external monitor in some setups. The monitor has 1000 nits of brightness and it's DCI P3 certified, which means that what you see on the monitor is what you're going to get. Internal RAW recording was patented by RED, and it's the main reason that other cameras need to do RAW output over HDMI. So let's go over the numbers because this camera has amazing specs, especially for a first-gen product. The Zr can record 6K up to 60p internally in 12-bit RAW, and it offers 15 stops of dynamic range. There's dual native ISOs at 800 and 6400, which means it's flexible for both bright daylight and low light shooting. But it also means that you really want to bring a neutral density filter with you if you're shooting in daylight, because that ISO 800 can really be a killer. The body itself only weighs about 1.2 pounds, so it's small enough to run on a gimbal or to rig out however you want. Partially because the body's so tiny, the 4-inch LCD screen feels really big compared to what's on other cameras. It was bright enough for me to use outdoors without needing an external monitor, although if I was doing a real shoot, I would want to put it on a cage and have an HDMI display anyhow so I could get better composition and an idea of my shot. Thanks to the DCI P3 monitor, you can actually load LUTs into the camera. I think it was 10 LUTs you can load in at any time, and the monitor will accurately show you the footage with the LUT applied. And if you're shooting reels, there's automatic rotation for vertical video, and the menus even change when you turn it sideways. The menu is very good, although it's not exactly the same menu that Nikon had, and it's not exactly a RED menu either. I haven't really gotten used to it yet, but it's the kind of thing that once I get it set up, I'm sure would be no problem just to push the button and jump to the setting you need. While I think it's being overlooked in some of the coverage, this body also has 32-bit float audio built in, and I think this is the first body that does. 32-bit float is like a raw file for audio. There's so much audio data recorded that you can adjust to compensate for poor quality audio, low audio, or high audio, and there is no such thing as clipping. Now, Nikon told me that it can also do 32-bit audio through the microphone in jack and not just the digital hot shoe. I don't understand how that's possible, but that's what they said. And Nikon finally has a digital hot shoe, and while they don't have an XLR adapter yet, they are working with companies to get those out before they release their own. That means that this camera can finally be used in a studio setup like my studio setup. The camera also has selectable pickup patterns in its microphone for like front, rear, stereo, and even binaural. That's the kind of audio flexibility you don't usually see without an external microphone. And if you like real-world perspective and camera reviews, take a second to boop the like and subscribe button below. Okay, so back to the camera. And with the Z mount, you can adapt just about any lens system using third-party adapters. Basically, whatever glass you already own, the chances are that you can run it on the ZR. And I've heard that the Sony adapter works really well, so that would open up this platform to hundreds of lenses. That is another thing Sony has to worry about. Nikon says that this camera has 7.5 stops of in-body image stabilization, which is among the best in any Cine style camera. Now, this footage of swans is from dozens of meters away and it's handheld. I'd never really shoot a 400mm handheld. I'd use a tripod, so this isn't exactly representative of the quality, but it will show you some of the image stabilization. The camera's autofocus is powered by the same Xpeed 7 processor from Nikon's flagship Z9 and the Z6 with AI subject tracking. It can recognize people, animals, vehicles, and even faces that only take up 3% of the frame. When it comes to reliability, the ZR is built like Nikon's Pro mirrorless cameras. It's got a magnesium alloy chassis, and it's sealed against dust and moisture. So it's not waterproof, it's moisture and dust resistant. The camera's fanless, but uses the body for heat dissipation, giving you, they say, over 2 hours of continuous 6K recording without overheating. It did get pretty hot when I was shooting it in the sun outside in temperatures around 80 degrees, but there was no problem with the recording times. Okay, to wrap this up, the Nikon ZR is more than just a new camera. It is the first real sign of what Nikon's acquisition of RED means for filmmakers and creators, but it's also a huge shot across Sony's bow. With Nikon and Canon competing heavily in this space, it will be interesting to see what this market looks like in a year or two. Overnight, Nikon went from being a company known mostly for stills with good quality video features to one that has RED cinema color science inside a $2,200 body. That changes the conversation completely. With Canon C50, Sony's FX lineup, and now Nikon ZR, we're watching the start of a serious three-way battle for the creator market. Nikon might be late to the game, but owning RED now, they're not playing catch-up anymore. A full review will come when the camera is available for a longer set of tests, but I'm already really impressed with it. Visit our website at imaging-resource.com for more information and for 2 decades of camera reviews and articles. For Imaging Resource, I'm David Schloss, and until next time, go out and give it your best shot.